Today my guest is Monica Saldivar. Monica grew up and lives in Grand Prairie and is a graduate of Dallas Baptist University. She is currently a nominee for the Best New Female Artist at the Tejano Music Awards, which will air virtually December 19th, 2020 at 7 p.m. Monica is also a piano teacher and a singing coach. We talked today about how her life changed by going to a performing arts high school, as well as how she's helping her students express some of the emotional ups and downs of this year through musical expression. We talk about how she got into Tejano music and the journey of her career so far. Her self-titled album is available on iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, or any major streaming service. Monica was truly delightful and is a bright, rising star, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Cole Humphreys from the Hot and Cold podcast co-hosted with me today, and he graciously allowed us to record in his studio. Without further ado, here's Monica Saldivar. Hi, Monica.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. And we're also here with Cole Humphreys, who is not only going to be my co-host today, but he's also letting us use his studio. Thank you, Cole.
Yep, thank
you. My pleasure. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so Monica, you are from Grand Prairie.
Yes, ma'am.
And before we start, and I said this before, I go to add you to my Facebook page last night because you and I were not friends on Facebook. We have not met before today.
Right.
And I said, why does she know my mom? And that was a mutual friend. And so you had my mom in the second grade.
I did, Miss Picor. I actually had your dad as well at Jackson for, I think he was the principal or the vice principal.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was at South.
Yes. He went to South?
No, he was at South. Well, he when he retired, he was assistant principal at South.
Oh.
So, you might be thinking of, well, God, who would have that been? Well, he might have been at that center. Yeah. So, yeah. Did you get in trouble?
That I am going to leave out of this.
We don't need to talk about the past.
No.
You know, it's not on social media. It didn't happen. So.
No, I was for the most part as a kid, I was very quiet. I know in Miss Picor's class though, I was my little what was it? It was a sun. It got dropped down a couple of notches. So she made sure to put me in my place when I needed to be. So I have to give her that. She required discipline, and discipline she got. So
she was never like that with us. I just can't imagine.
But in the sweetest way possible, she was like, "Now, Monica, we have to move your sun down today. And if you move it down, it's the worst thing ever.
She's like that with my daughter too. She's in the 4th grade, and she gets the same speeches. Of course, I did too. But yeah, that's so funny. So you went to Zavala,
yes,
and you graduated from South.
The funny thing is that a lot of people don't know. I did not, for my high school career, I didn't necessarily stay in Grand Prairie. I lived in Grand Prairie and was a part of the community and everything. But I actually graduated from Booker T. Washington for the performing and visual arts.
Really? How
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So you lived in Grand Prairie and just went to that school.
Yep, 20 miles there, 20 miles back, and Dad definitely had to help with all of that because I was not gonna drive.
Wow, that's really cool. So how did that happen?
So what's funny about that is that from Zavala, I went to Jackson Middle School.
Mm-hmm.
And the first year there, my 6th grade year, I didn't necessarily get into music right away. I was a very shy kid. And at home, I was very loud and rambunctious. But when I went to school, I was very shy. I was this little skinny little girl with these big old Coke bottle glasses. And just, I wasn't really out there. I had my friends, and they were sweet and, always inviting and accepting of me. But I didn't necessarily feel confident in myself at school. Now, if you saw me at home, I was jumping off the walls and everything. We'd have our own little mini concerts in the living room on the coffee table. But it wasn't until 7th grade where I got into choir. And my choir teacher, Sandra Davis, she's this cute little Asian woman, very, very fiery, very, very, again, demands respect and demands discipline. And I think those teachers actually helped me become the person I am today. So your mom definitely had an influence on me with that, and as well, Miss Davis. And Miss Davis was like, okay, you're going to try out for every competition. You're going to try out for every solo and ensemble. You're going to be a part of every choir that we're in. And I'm like, whoa, give me a chance. But then we had this concert for Christmas. It was in front of the city hall, and we did it every year, every single year. And this was like the first time my parents actually heard me within a choir.
Oh.
Like, they would hear me sing, and they're like, yeah. You know, like,
so I should mention, so your dad is here.
Yeah.
Here with us. He doesn't have a microphone in front of him, but he's here with you. So this was the first time that they had heard you sing in a choir?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
And good morning to you, sir.
So they had heard me for the very first time, and then my teacher's husband went up to my dad and was just like, you know she's going to do something with music, right? You know that she's very passionate about what she's doing, right? And my dad was like, she's just singing. You know, she's in 7th grade. She's just singing. I mean, you know, they saw it. They were really excited for me because it was something that I was passionate about, but they didn't realize how much that passion was going to like flourish after that moment. So 8th grade comes around. I go back into choir. I'm trying out for everything. And my teacher was like, have you heard of the school Booker T. Washington? You know, and I was like, no, I haven't. Well, it's a Dallas school. It is a magnet school that also teaches academics, but they focus on your specific craft. So if I was in music, it'd be either an instrument or voice. They also focus on theater art like sculpting and painting and things like that, and then dancing. And I was like, whoa, like, so that's crazy.
What year was this?
This had to have been, if I was in 8th grade, it was 2007, 2008, around that time.
So it was right around, Grand Prairie ISD hadn't really pushed to having a lot of these academies at that point in time.
Yeah, they came after I graduated.
Okay.
So I really wanted to get into something like that. Not to say that I didn't fit in with the people that I was with. I loved my friends and everything.
Performing art kids right here. I get it.
Yeah.
I was in choir too. The same. Yeah. I get it.
And so I tried out my 8th grade year and was put on a waiting list. So I was like, well, who knows whenever that's going to happen. You know, I'll just go to South. So my 9th grade year was all at South. And, you know, I was waiting. And I was just like, well, I guess it's not going to happen. I guess I'm going to stay here. And that's not a problem because I was in swim team. I was in choir, and I enjoyed it. And I was going to try out for show choir the next year. 2 weeks into my sophomore year, we get the call, and they're like, we have 2 spots available. Do you want your spot? And my dad was like, he had taken the call. My dad usually does all of the managing, if you haven't noticed already. But he took the call, and he was like, well, she is flourishing in swim team. She's doing really good at her school right now, but let me ask her. And there wasn't even a second thought. I was just like, you know what? No, I can put swimming to the side. Like, this is what I've been wanting to do since I heard about it. I'm going. And that decision right there has been the best decision I have ever made in my young adult life. Like, I would say young adult because, you know, when you're 15 going up, you're starting to become your own person. You're starting to figure out what you want in life. And before college, too. And my parents, you know, I have a brother. Me and my brother, we do this together. He's my marketing department, you know.
Oh, cool.
He does the multi-digital media. We graduated, college together, and we're 5 years apart.
Wow.
So being able to...
So he's 5 years older than you.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's my older brother.
Wow. That's awesome.
So being able to do this and then like go alongside my brother that is helping me through this. I mean, it was just, I was like, absolutely, this is the best decision I made. And that's originally when I first started like doing track music. So a lot of people in the Tejano world that I'm in, when you start off singing as a track singer, that just means you're singing with the karaoke track or you don't have a band. You're just kind of starting off. And a lot of people that aren't from that industry or aren't from that world, they don't understand when I say track singer or just, you know, karaoke singer or whatever. And so when I started off singing, I was about 14 or 15 years old. And it was just track. And it was only English music at the beginning.
that was going to be my question. One of the questions I was going to ask you is, what did you, and you're going right into everything I wanted to talk about, which is how did you choose what kind of music that you wanted to sing?
Right.
And so that's good. So you were singing in English at first.
Yeah.
And then what kind of, well, okay, let me go back for a second, because you said a lot of things. One of the things that I think that I can gather from your story, first of all, is how important giving students a school of choice is. And
Absolutely.
I'm glad that now that we have a performing arts center, because that would have been a perfect place for you to go.
Oh,
if
I
they'd
know.
have had it.
I would have been so happy. That would have been 5 minutes away.
I mean, right, exactly. And what a testament to your parents that because Booker T. Washington is in Dallas, correct?
Downtown.
That's a trip.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. And I'm glad that you had parents that identified that was so important and then got you there. And so I just, that's a great testament to just school of choice and giving kids the opportunity to do something they're truly passionate about, because not everybody at that age knew or knows what they're truly passionate about.
And especially right now and in today's time with the kids that we have in this generation, even more so, they're very much confused about what their future is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it as a teacher now. I do my one-on-one lessons. I do private voice and private beginner piano lessons with the students that I have now. And some of them, the youngest that I have is about 4 years old, so they don't know what they want just yet.
And which is that, for piano or singing?
For both.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for both. Wow. So they don't know. I mean, they don't have a care in the world. They're just happy to be there. And
they have an audience in you.
Right, right. And then, my middle ages are about 12 or 13 or 14, kind of where I was when I first started, like, really getting involved in music. And they're just like, I have a young, I should say, boy, because he's still kind of trying to figure out his voice. His voice has dropped. He was very high, and he could sing like The Greatest Showman, like This Is Me. He could hit those high notes when I first started working with him about a year ago. But now his voice is completely, just got really low. And so he feels like unconfident. He feels very insecure. And I'm like, no, like, utilize that. Use that to your advantage, because eventually when you turn 18, 19, you're going to be thankful that your voice dropped so low and be able to be a part of, he's kind of like in that tenor baritone type area. So, he can be in any part of the choir that he wanted to be.
Yeah. It's so funny. I just had this conversation with my daughter because we love pentatonics. And, back in my choir days because I was in Jackson Choir, I was in South Stowe Choir, like everything you're saying, I'm like, yep, did that. Had to wear those ugly green dresses.
Alumni.
Exactly.
Hated those dresses.
Oh, I did too. They were terrible. But back in high school, it was... a lot of Boys to Men stuff had just come out. So all the guys in our choir were singing Boys to Men all the time. But pentatonics is great because my daughter is getting really interested in doing some of the performing arts. And we just talked about, okay, well, an alto sings this and a soprano sings this. And I would imagine that as a boy, especially going through that, having a voice teacher that kind of is explaining some of these things in a different way than maybe guys normally hear it when they go through that might be really helpful. Cole, what do you think? You don't have any thoughts?
He's like, I don't sing.
You mean to bust out a note?
No, I was thinking about, going through that time period of your life is really hard, especially as a guy.
I may have partied too hard and don't remember that far back.
In middle school, you partied too hard?
Since then. and maybe in middle school.
Some guys try to forget that era of their life.
I was kicked out of middle school, just so you know. Hey, but I do remember in ninth grade, I was in the member of a choir at my church, and we traveled and did a traveling show. And when I have a choir instructor raising my note and lowering my note as I'm singing, I really enjoyed it. And I wish I had more of that, more opportunity like that, even as an adult. So.
Are you still doing lessons even during the pandemic and stuff?
I am, yeah. So the reason being is that it's so easy to get caught up in just, I'm at home. I'm quarantined. There's nothing I can do about it. So I work, and it's funny because a lot of people are like, how do you do all of this and then do your career and then have your personal life with
That
your
was
family?
the next question. That was one of the next questions I was going to ask you.
So I teach at 2 different schools. I pretty much travel all around DFW. So one of the schools I work for is Creative Soul Music, and they have 3 different locations. I work at 2, which is in Southlake and Watauga. So I go pretty far.
Wow.
I go pretty far out there. Another school that I work for is Stage Notes, and they're in Hearst.
Okay, yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're really good. Their company is really good as well. And then I do the freelancing. So originally, the freelancing would have included the Epic, but because everything kind of closed down for that side, and it's understandable. You know, I talk to Thomas all the time, who's a part of the arts part, and I'm like, look, dude, thank you for the opportunity, because it honestly helped me really get out there and really be able to teach some of the students that aren't in Hearst and in Southlake and Watauga. I go all the way to Midlothian, which is on the other side.
Yeah.
And this is for that 13-year-old boy who is super excited for his recital coming up. We have recital coming up, and there are some students that'll do online because their parents are obviously afraid. But, I always wear my mask. I'm always making sure that I'm okay. But I want to bring joy through music, and lessons kind of do that for me.
And it gives you purpose. It
Right.
gives kids purpose.
Right.
Because now they have something that they can look forward to. It has something they are working towards, which is really important. And when it's stuff like, because I took singing lessons growing up, it's voluntary.
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have to take singing lessons. When you're doing that, it's because you really want to take singing lessons.
Right.
And so, but that's really important. And I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking about choir, and I was thinking about kids being a part of stuff and how much of that has been lost
Right.
during all of this, and how important it is to really keep it as much as we can, because these kids need that.
They do. They need some kind of sustainability.
Absolutely.
I had a kid come in this last Tuesday or yesterday, and she came in crying. And I was like, what's going on? Like, sit down, take a breather. We have time. Don't worry about it. It's a 30-minute lesson, And she's like, no, I want to start because we're going to lose so much time. No, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it. What's going on? I can't see my friends. My teacher's online, so there's certain things that I don't understand fully. And then whenever we do go into class, it's only like once every 2 weeks because somebody ends up having COVID. So they have to go back into quarantine. She's like, I hate it. I hate it at home. I hate being around my little brother. Like there's always so much friction because there's so much restraint on what they used to do.
Yep.
And, I'm just like, well, I'm sorry that's happening, but let's sing it out. Let's utilize that and push that and project that into whatever you're singing today. And most of her songs are like John Legend or I think it's Mistletoe right now from Justin Bieber. So she's singing real loud, and I'm like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Oh, that's such a good point. Using talents and things like that to really get your emotions out. And that's one of the things that I get really concerned about with these kids right now is just they don't have an outlet.
No.
They don't have the ability to even identify some of the emotions that they're even feeling. And matter of fact, I was right before we started our interview, I had a call. I'm on a school board for a local charter school. And we had a legislative session with one of the legislatures that they're kind of going in and talking about some of this education. And the number one concern outside of financial and trying to figure out how to keep it going is the mental health of the students. And I'm really glad that they're talking about that, and that's something that's being pushed because it's important. It's important, and it needs to be considered and remembered. And things like this, that just makes me happy. It makes me happy to hear that a student is coming in looking forward to doing something that they enjoy, and being able to channel their emotions into something,
Yeah. It's I
good.
see it all the time.
Yeah.
I see so much anger and frustration and sadness. And I'm like, okay, well, what's a song that picks you up? Like, what's a song that makes you happy? And when I say happy, they think of Pharrell Williams.
Of course.
'Cause I'm happy, da-da-da. They start thinking of that.
Right.
Or, if they're thinking of something else and they're like, well, I just want to feel sad right now. And I am the type of person that, like, I was always told in school, and it wasn't so much that they didn't care about what I was feeling in the moment. They just didn't want me to be sad. But in school, they would tell me, no, we're going to sing something happy. So we're going to take your mind off of that. But in this day and age, a lot of the students, a lot of the kids right now, they've never really understood what it means to be sad. And they never really understood what it means to be angry until this particular pandemic happened. So when my student was like, you know what, I just want to sing a sad song. We're going to sing a sad song. It's fine. But we're also going to sing a happy song afterwards. So you are allowed to feel what you're feeling because it's normal. We need to normalize the fact that these kids are feeling what they're feeling at the time, but we also need to tell them that it's going to be okay at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, please. Can I ask? So, when I listen to, Susana Ramirez, Gloria Carrillo, and a few others, we'll be at a restaurant and there'll be some guy playing a guitar, playing an old Spanish song. I don't know if it's Tejano or the particular brand, but I speak a little Spanish, and they'll lean over and say, well, he's saying, his lover left him and he doesn't know what he's going to do. And I'm going, and they're describing this sad song to me. And the reason I'm talking now and asking about it is like, that's some of the best music you're going to hear, period. Absolutely. So it's interesting when you want to teach singing or teach music to somebody, you can't steer them away from the sadness.
No.
Because that is an art.
Right.
And art is from emotion. I think, and this is just my 2 cents, that sometimes when artists become very successful, their life is good and happy. Generally, I understand. Yeah. So their music becomes love songs and happiness.
Right.
And that's more, we all are familiar with that or know it. It's when they're talking about the down and out sadness, losing your lover is when people really get drawn in. So it's kind of interesting that you are talking about, we can't intentionally depress kids.
No.
But it's a good time to draw some of that sadness out and put it into that art that you're teaching them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is, people will gravitate towards what they're feeling. Like exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
They'll gravitate towards what they're feeling when they're feeling it. So that's why I normalize it with my students. It's, okay, what do you want to sing today? Well, I want to sing an Adele song. I want to sing Someone Like You. And I'm like, have you been through that before? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, let's kind of talk about what this song represents and what it means. For me, going to a performing arts school, it changed a lot of the way the flavor of music was for me.
Yes.
And, not to say that it wouldn't have been the same if I would have stayed at South, because there's some excellent teachers there. But when I went to Booker T, we weren't just taught how to sing, and we weren't just taught music and music theory. We actually had to take a dance class, improv dance class.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I will never forget this teacher, Mr. Richards, just tall, like just elegant. That's the word that just perfectly describes this teacher. He was like, I'm going to play a song and you're going to reenact, or you're going to feel the music and you're going to do it. It doesn't matter if your technique is right or your footing is right. You're just going to feel the music. And I was like, this guy is crazy. But because of this class, I was able to feel happiness through the chords that were being played.
Wow.
I was able to feel sadness. I was able to feel, and people were like literally crying, and we're like 15, 16, so to be able to really hone in on our emotions and really figure out, okay, this is what sadness looks like. This is what happiness looks like. This is what being in love looks like. So it helped me when I was singing, when I started singing, because Spanish is not my first language. I think a lot of people think that because I sing it, but it wasn't my first language. It's still something that I'm working towards and still trying my best to get to know.
He's writing down questions or things that he's thinking. See, we both do that. I started doing that because he does that. He's like, oh, because we listen and we get enthralled and then we forget what we wanted to ask you.
No, not a problem. So Spanish isn't my first language, but it is my mom's. My dad's second language. My dad, it was his second language too. So being able to talk to my parents and be like, hey, what does this song mean? I started asking more questions as I got older. And I noticed this a lot with my generation. Some of us were taught Spanish, and it really just depends on whether the parents mostly speak Spanish and know English at home. but some of us weren't. You know, and it wasn't because a lack of trying. It wasn't because that, you know, they didn't want to teach us. My mom, she was born in Mexico. She was born in Reynosa. She came here, got her citizenship when she was very young. And when she went into the school system, all she knew was Spanish. But people would bully her because she was, you know, all she knew was Spanish. And the language here is English. And so my mom kind of had
Which a lot of us still don't understand when we're trying to learn it.
Right.
As
Yeah, right.
elementary school kids.
I know better Spanish grammar than I do English grammar.
Well, because it has rules, and English
Yeah.
grammar has all
No
the
rules.
exceptions to every rule.
Has no rules. You can say whatever you want in English. And with Spanish, it's very much like she wanted to teach us. And my brother knows. My brother knows, but he's kind of lost it. It's like, you know, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
And my mom had always been like, you know what, we're not going to really like enforce it on my kids because of what I went through in school. We're not going to enforce it so much.
Which
we're not
makes
going
me
to
so
enforce.
sad.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
Because you lose a tradition and you lose the culture. So I really, growing up Mexican American, going into the school system, not really hearing it in school because a lot of the parents were the same as my mom. I was just speaking English. I would listen to English music. We would listen to Tejano music for cookouts or, you know, when we were just having a good time at home. But we never really like, you need to listen to Tejano music because one day.
You know, I'm that's such a good, interesting thing that I hadn't really considered. So when you say, because you were talking about your generation, what you mean is kids that are children of Spanish-speaking parents.
Right.
And I'd never even thought of y'all not learning because of there used to be such a resistance to learning speaking Spanish. And I remember even in the 80s and the 90s, speaking Spanish, there was a big thing about we need to speak English, we need to speak English. Well, now we know the benefits of learning and speaking all kinds of different languages.
Yep.
I never even thought that it was intentional that y'all didn't really learn how to speak English. I mean, didn't learn how to speak Spanish.
It's hard to really put a hand on what exactly came of that because my mom, she wanted to teach us at home, but then she didn't want us to really like go out there and be like, okay, you're going to speak Spanish in school, you know? And she did it out of love. She did it out of care.
Of course.
You know? A lot of people will look at me now because I am in between both worlds. I am an American, but I'm also Mexican descent. And so when we do have people that come up to us at different shows, because my family is with me 24/7, when we do have people that come up to me and they'll talk to me in Spanish, it's like instant wall because I was taught to conjugate my vowels. You know, I was taught to say certain sentences. It's like, you know, teaching a parrot. A parrot could learn the same thing. But when you have like an actual person that knows the language, that knows when you're going to mess up on one word or two specifically, wall. Like it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
In my head, I'm thinking of Selena because I knew that was something she struggled with too. Because she was she was an English speaker first. She didn't know some of from what I understand, and getting into that world and kind of splitting half and half.
Yeah,
that's a struggle.
So I like to share this all the time. My first home I bought lived next door to an El Salvadorian guy, and Spanish only, and I didn't speak a lick, you know, and I just kind of, hey, you know, that was kind of it. And we had like a tree fall on one of our electrical lines, and we kind of had this argument over who was responsible for it, and it was just kind of a rocky relationship. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, I went through an immersion process and learned Spanish, and I still get that wall.
Yeah.
But I'm I got my Spanish down. So now when I go back to that house that I still own it and I speak with him, we're like best friends.
Yay.
The communication is there. That's the only difference. Because we couldn't communicate before. So forget what we speak here or don't speak here. I just want to be able to properly communicate with everybody.
Right.
And that's the benefit of learning both language for sure.
See, and when I got into college, because I did, you know,
Where'd you go to college?
Dallas Baptist University.
Oh,
Nice.
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep, go Patriots.
That's what my daughter is. She's a Patriot. No, she's an Eagle. I'm sorry, but we have red, white, and blue patriotic colors.
Oh,
Never mind.
yeah.
Sorry. So anyway.
No, but when I got into college, it made it so important for me to learn because at this point in my life, I was performing more. I started performing, like I said, at 14 or 15 years old, but it was English. it wasn't until I got really into my, like, going into my 20s that I started doing Tejano music. So, you know, it was very important for me to take my Spanish classes seriously. And it was required for my degree. So it was like, okay, it's a win-win for everyone if I do Spanish. I'm never going to really use French, you know, so let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and get into Spanish, you know. And
thank you.
So I had this amazing teacher who's, you know, also going to be my tutor for the next couple of hopefully years, but you know, you never know. She just got her doctorate whenever I was graduating. Her name is Balliet. And she's from Texas too. She was from here. And she was just like, there's so many different ways to say what you want to say.
Right.
But let's try to hone in on what you're trying to say. And the main reason too is, like you said, communication is key. My grandmother only spoke on my mom's side. She speaks English and she understands it, but she is more comfortable with her native language. So for the longest time, it would be a hi and bye with grandma. I never really had that connection. I never really was able to sit down and ask her these things. We were talking about this last visit. We were talking about Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead.
Too.
Yeah. And she was like, we never celebrated that. It's funny because in America, we think it's all over Mexico.
No.
It's not. It's more, it depends on where you're from. My grandparents were from, the northern side? And then, you know, on the southern side of Mexico, that's where they celebrate it. That's where the celebration happens.
Wow.
I would love to have just a whole conversation about that. Like, how is it different from the top to the bottom? But that's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see the culture and the history behind it. I mean, I didn't really get into my culture until my, 18, 19, early 20s. And I think it's really important that we should teach our students, not just through music, but in academics as well. We need to teach our Latin students about where they come from.
Absolutely. And, I will have to say, learning Spanish is something that's been on my to-do list. And they have so many resources that you can learn, right? So, but it's definitely something that's going to take some time because I know that we have a lot of Spanish-speaking citizens that live in Grand Prairie.
Right.
And I really want to be able to reach out to them and, get them information and get them interviews and stuff that they can understand.
Right.
And I would love to be able to speak that myself. But one thing that's been really beneficial to me is Google Translate because like right now what's going on with all the political stuff is I'll get on Twitter and we have, like as an example, we have a Cuban immigrant. I think she's first generation. She just got elected into the, I think she's a senator for Florida.
Right.
And so they were talking about some things going on in Florida, and everybody is responding in a different language. And I don't even know if it's Spanish, if it's Argentinian, if there's all these different dialects.
Yeah.
So I can copy what they say and put it into Google Translate and it'll tell me which language it is. And then I get to see what they're saying, which I think is so valuable because, I can hear what American English people say about how Cubans feel, about how Argentinians feel and Mexicans feel, but I don't hear how they feel about themselves and what stuff is going on with them. And so learning and knowing how to at least have resources that lets you been able to communicate is so important.
Right.
Just so important.
Yep. And I agree. The funny thing too is like what you were saying, Spanish is it is universal, but there are so many different dialects. Like there's so many different ways to say a certain thing. Like for popcorn, right? Palomitos are for, we say that in Mexican Spanish, but in Argentine Spanish, I think the word was pochoclo because of the sound that it makes.
Hey, how do you say peach? And when I was in Costa Rica, it was melocoton, and I said that here to someone, and
they
they're
didn't
like,
understand.
"What are you talking about?" And I said, "It's a peach," and they said, "No, it's not. Peaches." And I forget what they said, but I learned one way. Yeah,
you learn it one way, and then you get to another person's Latin culture and they're like, no, that's not the way it is. And we're constantly doing that with Latin American cultures, including other Spanish cultures too. But it's like, nobody is dominant over the other, but we have different ways of saying it, and then we just feel like it's right.
That's so cool.
we lump it together, and I think that's something that this year I've seen a lot of, and we do it with everyone. We do it with, Latin Americans, which we just lump into one big category as if all of them come from the exact same place. When there's how many countries in Latin America? We do it with Black Americans.
Right.
There are Black Americans that are born in America. There are ones that have come over here from other countries.
Right.
And they're not all the same. And it's like we have just generalized so many and not realized that we're talking about completely different people.
Yep.
And I think that that's important.
I'm not making a political statement, but George Bush said at some type of funeral, it was like we often judge others' worst mistakes by our best intentions.
Right.
And I was like, we do that. That's one of the biggest problems we have in the political climate we have today. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, where you think you're doing, like the biggest thing lately has been the Latin X. And I actually put out, because I was like, where did this word come from? And I put out on my Facebook page, because I have a lot of people that, are Latin descent. And I'm like, is this like what we're supposed to be saying now? And they all are like, no, we hate that word. It's a word that is made up from people that have no understanding and then have created. I'm like, but I think that, again, it just goes to talking to people that actually experience whatever it is and figuring out how they feel about it. So what got you into Tejano music if you didn't know Spanish?
So growing up, we had always listened to it. It's something that didn't just necessarily like, boop, it just kind of appeared. My family, we have a mixture of music that we listen to all the time. So growing up, whenever, everybody's going to say, especially in a Mexican family, when you're cleaning on Saturday morning, no, we listen to it like all the time, year round. Selena was a big part of my development whenever I was growing up. She passed away when I was about a year old. Wow. And my brother was 5. And my brother is like the biggest Selena fan ever. And,
she did something really amazing. She bridged a gap.
She did.
And she, because I was in high school when she was popular, and then I was also still in high school when she was killed, and I never had listened to Tejano music in my life,
right?
And I was like, and she crossed over in a lot of her songs, anyways, and that's how we all got introduced. That's how some of us did, anyways,
right? And a lot of people don't realize that she didn't just cross over in the American world; she crossed over in the Mexican world too.
Wow, really?
Because she had that. She was what I'm saying now, Mexican American. There's a part in that movie that Abraham is speaking. You got to be 10 times better than this and 10 times better than that. You got to show the Americans how American you are, and you have to show the Mexicans how Mexican you are. So it's what he was saying, that dialogue, whether it's true or not,
right?
It's true. You have to show both sides. There's 2 different bridges for us, for people like me that are in Tejano music that want to cross over to the Mexican part but can't speak Spanish, and then want to cross over to the American part but could possibly be a little bit too much culture for people that aren't ready for that. Not to say that people aren't, but there are some people that are just like, no. And especially in this time period, they're just like, no, ma'am.
How often do you cover Selena songs?
Not very often. When I first started off, a lot of the track singers in my time period.
Yeah, the track singing, I bet.
Yeah, they were dressing like her. They had the wigs, they had the makeup, they had the shoes. And don't get me wrong, that's amazing. Yeah. They did a great job. But I didn't want to be like everybody else.
Yeah, do your own thing.
So I would pick, if I was picking a Selena song, it'd be like when she first started off, like during the series right now, the series on Netflix.
Yep, that's on my list.
Yeah, it doesn't just show you, in the series right now, it doesn't show you what she was when she passed. It shows you what she became. So you're going to see a lot of those like weird 80s looks and stuff like that. You're going to see that, but you're going to see her music too. There's a song that you're going to listen to if you watch the series. It's called Dame un beso. That was the first song I ever learned of hers, and I was just
Give
like...
me a kiss.
Yep, that's what it means.
Good job. Impressive.
No, but it was the first song I had ever learned of hers that wasn't what everybody else was listening to, what everybody else was doing. So I cover her songs now because I have a band, because I'm able to like mix it up and choreograph it to what people want to hear. But when I first started off, I didn't want to be like everybody else.
Yeah. Did she inspire you? I mean, was that a?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I love the Selena story. I mean, I'm captured by it. I don't know. Sorry, encapsulated. Thank you, Jenna.
You're welcome.
And I often wonder. You know, it's funny that I compare it to J-Lo because J-Lo played her in the show, but you know. J-Lo's a Hispanic American who...
She's Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican American, thank you for correcting me, that is in her 50s now, and she is...
Wouldn't know about looking at her.
She is a superstar. And Selena, I think, is a similar age.
Yeah.
And if Selena's not dead, think about the last 20 plus years of Selena in our culture.
Right.
I mean, it's a major loss that happened in
Absolutely.
losing Selena, and it's a whole aspect of music and entertainment that she would have influenced for the past 24 years. I find that pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, one, thank you for picking that up, and especially being from Grand Prairie and promoting that Tejano music. I love it. At my hunting lease, there's one of our hunters who every time he pulls up, he works at GM, so he has the newest GM Suburban. And he pulls up with the new Bose sound system and just cranks up Tejano music. So it's like 10 o'clock at night. He's driving in from Houston, and we're out there playing around, having fun, dancing to Tejano music. Bunch of redneck hunters dancing Tejano music out.
But that's a beautiful sight.
Yeah,
it's rare.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It's rare, and hearing that, I'm just like, that makes my heart happy.
Oh, cool.
Because I actually, this was about 23, 24 years ago that she had passed. Mm-hmm. And think about that.
Yeah, it was.
Think about that.
Well, think about Jennifer. That's why I say Jennifer Lopez. Her growth from about that time.
Yeah.
And literally is a superstar and has influence. She dates Alex Rodriguez. She is it when it comes to success.
Right.
And so Selena was far beyond what Jennifer Lopez was at that time anyway. And golly, it's just intense.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
I'm thinking about, as you were talking a little bit earlier about embracing and really understanding the countries that you've come from, in your family, and understanding those things. And you're talking about J-Lo. I'm thinking back to the Super Bowl when her and Shakira did their thing. I actually Googled because there was things that they did. And I would hear people say, oh, that's this from this place. And so, there was a tongue thing that Shakira did.
From Lebanon.
And people got offended at that here. Mm-hmm. But people that were commenting were like, no, this is this from this. And so I started looking into it. And I was like, we really need to have a better understanding of the things that are culturally, things that are happening in other places, and not just assuming it's some offensive thing.
Something that's not appropriate,
I watched that show 14 times.
I loved it.
Oh, my gosh.
I absolutely
I was not one of these
it.
that was had a big... I was like, this is amazing. First of all, those women are ridiculously gorgeous as being 40 and 50-year-old people. But I loved the things that they did that I was able to learn. And and it got me into more Shakira music, which I've always liked her. But I got more into all that other stuff, too.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
She did a lot of cultural, to her culture, Colombian dancing. Within her performance, she did a lot of Colombian dancing.
Even the rope.
Yeah. The rope. The tongue thing is from Lebanon. Not a lot of people know that she's Lebanese as well as Colombian.
Oh, wow.
So, when people were commenting, I'm like, I'm just going to watch this, eat my popcorn, and see how it all plays out. Because, when you're not... There's a word that comes up that is always in the negative aspect, and it's called ignorance. And it's not mean...
You get that right.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's not always negative.
Yeah.
Ignorance comes from the word to ignore, to not embrace. And that's what a lot of people don't realize when they're being called ignorant. They're not being called this bad name. Mm-hmm. It's just... You're being ignorant, meaning you're ignoring what this person's culture is. You're not embracing who they are. Mm-hmm. And so I have a lot of talks with some of my coworkers, because some of my coworkers, they, predominantly, they're not Hispanic, and that's okay. It's not a problem. But they have so many opinions.
Yeah.
There's so many opinions, and we have opinions too.
That's shocking. No, I'm just kidding.
We have so many opinions too on our side.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is to go about it how do we have like a good dialogue? Mm-hmm. And in this country right now, I feel like that's what we're lacking. We're lacking compassion and being able to come to center, you know?
We're getting better at it. I think we're farther off than we are, but at the same time, we're at polar opposites in some ends. So.
Right.
I tried to, and that was a part of the conversation, you know, that in that particular situation with the Super Bowl, you know, I'm a white Christian woman that was raised Southern Baptist, and so there was a lot of my conservative peers that had a huge problem with that show. And I speak out and I say, okay, but we need to think about this for a second, because then in my inquisitive mind, it's like, why is she doing the rope? That has to mean something. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, I'll see people, or I'll use Google Translate and see people talking about it on the where they shared it on a Facebook, you know, on the Super Bowl. And all these people from all these different places are commenting in different languages. And I'm like, okay, so I'll use that. And I'm like, oh, this is an actual thing.
It symbolizes something.
Yes.
See, and that's the thing. People like you question. Mm-hmm. You're wanting to know. Mm-hmm. You want to know. You want to be a part of. You want to see what the reason is behind it. Instantly, there was another. I have a best friend that I have of 20 plus years, and she's very, you know, conservative and has her own opinions on things, and she's very uncomfortable with, you know, not being conservative in certain aspects. And she was just like,
she's very uncomfortable with it.
No, she's very uncomfortable with somebody like,
oh, gotcha, I
completely being, you know, like that.
Provocative,
there we go. But we're still friends at the end of the day, because I understand where her worries and her, you know, viewpoints come from. I can understand and see why she would feel this certain way about it when she's watching it with 4 of her kids, you know, and they're young, they're very influential, and I get that. But then she's like, well, why does this happen? She'll ask questions. Well, why does this happen? And what does the rope have to deal with? And what does the tongue have to deal with? And so we talk about it. So that's one of the friendships that I have that I'm just like, I'm thankful for. Right. Because we are both in different parts of our lives, but we can come together and we can really just have dialogue. Right. So asking questions, that's perfect, you know?
There was an article I just saw where the new lead, and I can't think, Texas Hispanic, it's a statewide organization, and the guy that just got appointed to the leader, he was asking a question about, we're not even going to talk about Trump or Biden, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because he was like, I didn't understand Mexican Americans voting for Trump. And instead of assuming he knew, he went and asked them why, and figured out, I don't really know everything that I think that I know. Right. And I commended that article because it's question asking. It's going to the source and figuring out, what is it that I don't know here? And that's my first thought, but not everybody is like that. And it's so important. I mean, you know, Chinese Americans, I want to know how Chinese Americans or people that have immigrated from China feel about how we're talking about China. Exactly. Is what they're saying true? Is what they're saying false? What do we have wrong? What do we have right? And that is how you get to an understanding place. Yeah. And when you don't really have a press and a media that's asking those questions for us, we have to figure out how to ask them of each other. Exactly. And it's asking questions first before assuming you know. Yeah. And you know, I was watching your video last night, the one that you did at Epic. Yes. I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, they filmed that out there, at the summit. I'm sorry, not Epic. Right outside where the tree is, on the bridge out there. And I was like, but you were singing, and of course, I don't know any of those words. I don't know what the song is about, but I'm at least watching the video, and I could tell it was a couple that was not getting along. And I liked that I had the visual of that to explain to me the song.
And that's what's been very important to me. Because, like I said, it's both sides. I don't just favor one or the other. I'm right square in the middle. We wanted to give a big salute to Grand Prairie because that's where I'm from. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And then we also filmed at the Hi Ho. I don't know if you knew that or not. We also filmed in the Hi Ho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's where the stage setup is, with my band and everything. And I'm just, you know, jamming out.
Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I need to go over there because I know the owner of that place, and she's really cool.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is.
Thank you so much for letting us use the Hi Ho. Yeah. I mean, it's a big staple in Grand Prairie. It's very important. It's a very So, you know, we wanted to give a big salute.
Are we coming up on time?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay.
We wanted to give a big salute first and foremost to, the Epic, the Summit, Grand Prairie, and we were just, we went back and forth and we were like, okay, what's people going to realize? What are they going to see whenever they see Grand Prairie? And the Epic was one of the biggest, and the Summit as well was one of the biggest things that we were like, we need to film there. Yeah. We need to make sure we can film there. And then the Hi Ho was another one because it's been around for years.
And I've never even been inside.
No?
Do you know that I have driven past that place? I don't know how many times, and I've never been inside.
It's beautiful inside.
Is it really?
Yeah, I enjoy being there.
See, whenever I drive by, I guess there's nobody ever out there because I know that they have like a nightclub type thing, and then they have
like
events.
right next door.
Yeah. And so, but I've always wanted to go inside, and I just never have. I need to.
Yeah.
But I guess I have because I watched your video, so now I know that's what that's for.
Yeah. So whenever we did the video, when we were coming up with ideas, because this video was very important to me. I wanted people to see that, and this was like my first acting experience. So I don't know how well that went, but I mean, I did my best.
I think you did an excellent job.
We hired an actor and everything. And
I was curious if that was like your real boyfriend in real life.
No, ma'am. Single as a Pringle. I promise you that.
Nice.
But we hired an actor. We had somebody help with hair and makeup. This was a big production. It was a bigger production than the first video that I did. And so we're like, okay, how do we make this interesting? How do we tell the story that not only Spanish speakers are going to understand, but, English speakers as well that don't understand Spanish?
Man, validation. We got it.
I wanted to validate both sides because I feel it's very important to do that. When I'm performing, I'm pointing. If I'm talking about a memory, I do this, or to forget, I do this. I do some type of sign so that when people walk up, they're not just like, Spanish, walk away,
Wow.
So
That's cool.
It's important for me to incorporate both.
Many forms of communication.
Yeah.
Well, in Tejano music, because I've listened, my first experience with Tejano music was when I worked in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And when they would be, a lot of people in the back when they were, preparing food and stuff. I mean, that's all we heard is just Tejano music. Tejano music, the melodies and the way that the song sounds musically does not always depict the tone of what the song is actually about.
Nope.
Because I would go, hey, what is this song about? And they would tell me, and I'm like, this song sounds happy, but it is not a happy song.
Yeah, the one you were talking about is called Revolucion, and it's talking about how this guy is coming back, and she's like, what do you want? Like, what is it that you want? Why are you here? I've cried my last tear for you. You're dead to me. That's what this means. You're dead to me. She wants nothing to do with this guy, and it's an empowering song for somebody that is in a bad relationship that they can get out of the relationship and be strong about it. It was very important to like girl power it.
Yeah. Did you write that yourself? Or
No.
Did yeah.
So I work with a bunch of really amazing writers. Eduardo Yayo Anguiano is the one that wrote this song. So
I gotcha. That's what I was going to ask you is if you write your own or if you work with other people that do it.
I wish. I'm getting to a point where I'm like, you know what? It's time to dive into this journal and try to do it. But
You got to get your heart broken to do that.
yeah. Oh, it's happened a few times.
Speaking of that, I was listening to a podcast.
Dad's like, no.
They were talking about Mariah Carey, and I don't know why she's back. And then I guess she maybe had a book that came out or something. They were talking about how her albums definitely reflect what's happened in her life, and I think that is for the case for everybody that has a long music career. But one of the things that got me to you was, I'd known about you, but one of the things that reminded me that I needed to talk to you was that you just recently were nominated for a Tejano Award.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And it was new female?
Best new female
Best
artist.
new female, okay.
Yeah. And another thing too is my band got nominated for best new group.
Oh, fantastic.
So we're raking it in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and God willing, we win. And then we have 2 videos up for Video of the Year. So this year has been, this year has been with its struggles for sure because of COVID.
Yeah.
I had just released my album in December and COVID happened in March. And there was so many events that got canceled. We were gonna travel. We were gonna do radio interviews, and then it fell apart. But because of virtual live streaming, social media, being able to have that outlet has helped us reach our fan base.
I was just going to ask you. Okay, so you just got nominated for Best New Female Vocalist. when I think people hear new, they assume that you just started like
Right.
last month.
Yep.
How long have you been working towards this goal?
About 11 to 12 years.
Okay, so kids out there, just understand
It
that
takes
we
work.
all can't go viral and be internet sensation
No.
and singing sensations tomorrow. So
Right. And me and my family, we, like I said, we do this together, and we had just talked about that, and we looked back on some of the memories that started everything. And I'm like, man, it felt like it didn't feel that long ago that I
Right.
won this award, or it didn't feel that long ago that I did this, and they were like, well, that's the reason why it doesn't feel so long is because you've been passionate throughout the entire time. And of course, there are times, as an artist, you get to a point where you're just like, okay, I've hit a peak and I don't know how to get any higher than this, or I've kind of plateaued right here, and nobody seems to care, and nobody seems to like really want to listen. This was like when I first started off, because I didn't have a band. Everybody was so like, you need a band, and you're not a professional if you don't have a band. And it's just like, I'm trying my best. Like, just,
is that a Tejano?
It's an
thing,
everybody
or
thing,
it's an
I
everybody
think.
thing. Okay.
Rock music too, jazz especially.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They don't take you seriously. They see you, like I said, as a karaoke singer.
Right.
And to the girls that are doing it now, they're barely starting off. I say keep going. Because now I'm nominated. The reason why they say best new female artist is because I needed to have a CD out. I needed to have something that, was tangible that the people could listen to. I needed to have videos. I needed to be out there more and with the band, and this was within the last 3 years that I've had my band, And so people started to validate what I was doing and seeing what I was doing. And they were just like, you know what? It's time. It's time. It's your time. So this year, like I said, a lot of struggles, a lot of crying. But it's
Who are you talking about? Me? You?
Yeah, you got to grind it out.
Yeah.
That's part of the road.
Yeah.
You're doing good. Like it makes me very happy. I'm on council here in Grand Prairie, so I'm like a Grand Prairie nerd, and I want everything to be good in Grand Prairie, and it makes me very proud to watch what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so keep it up, and of course you have all of our support and everything.
Thank you so much.
So how big are the Tejano Music Awards?
They're pretty big, but this year is going to be virtual. That's
Okay.
the only thing that I'm just like, like I wanted to go up. And
yeah.
well, because the cool thing about it is, like I said, in the series, in the Selena series, they talk all about it. They talk all about the Tejano Music Awards. She, her winning one, her going up on stage, making her speech and everything like that. And then fast forward a little bit, when I was about 15 or 16 years old, I got to see my cousin get her, Tejano Music Award. She got 2 of them, and I believe it was like Best New Artist as well at that specific time. And it was a surreal moment.
I wish your family would actually do something,
right?
Like y'all, you just
like a party.
No, I wish y'all would be successful. You win awards, you got things going on all throughout the city.
Yeah.
Like y'all's family just y'all have a history of success. I don't know what it is about y'all's family. Y'all must have tenacity. A lot of tenacity.
I mean, it was taught to us at like a very young age, including my dad and his siblings. My dad is one of 7. So my grandmother made sure, she's like, y'all are not going to just do nothing with your lives.
Right.
And all of my aunts and uncles have done amazing. That's what you're saying. The success. My dad too. I mean, my dad he's a part of the Postal Service for about 30 plus years.
Wow.
And, he picked up this whole manager role all of a sudden, and he's learning on his feet.
Yeah.
But he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
My brother's always been behind the camera. He used to like to sing too, and he used to like to dance, and we used to have our little, like I said, living room concerts and whatnot.
Nice.
But he was like, no, like I'm more behind the scenes. I'm gonna take pictures, I'm gonna do video, I'm gonna do audio. And like I said, we graduated, same ceremony, by the way. Same ceremony. I got to watch my brother walk first, and then I got my diploma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did y'all do that so that you didn't have to go to 2 different graduations?
It worked out that way. I went in 2012, and I believe after 2 years he went in because he transferred in.
Oh, wow.
And so we graduated together, and that moment right there, I was crying. Like
Yeah.
I saw him, I was like, "You did good, bro. You did good." And then it was me.
You're talking right now, and it's reminding me of Billie Eilish and her brother.
Yeah.
'Cause they're kind of similar to that. Like he's really big as a part of her production stuff too.
Right.
So when is the Tejano Music Awards?
So the Tejano Music Awards is going to be December 19th at 7 p.m. And it's going to be on. It's going to be online.
It's going to be online only. Where can they watch it?
I believe Facebook.
Facebook.
Oh, TejanoMusicAwards.com.
Are you
There
at
we
least
go.
getting dressed up?
I'm going to.
Good for you.
I'm going to.
You
I'm going to
should.
go all out. It's going to be like prom all over again.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Did you have a prom at your high school?
I did.
You
Yeah,
did? Okay,
I
good.
did.
Good.
So we didn't have any sports. I will say that. We didn't have any sports. We had dancing, but we didn't have any sports. And so it's like if I wanted to go watch some like a game or something, I'd always go to like South or,
Right.
you know, whatever was going on here in Grand Prairie.
Right. That's awesome. Well, I hope everybody watches it. You are just a delight.
Thank you.
I'm just so proud of you. I think that you're just doing really awesome things, and I'm going to follow you and love to watch and see how this all plays out. You have a lot of, I can tell that you have a lot of drive. You have a lot of passion. So just keep going.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. That is so, so wonderful. So thank you for coming on today. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Where can people find you?
Okay, they can find me on Facebook, Monica Saldivar Music. Instagram, it's going to be the same name, Monica Saldivar Music. Twitter, it's just going to be Monica Saldivar. I do have a website, but it's mostly going towards YouTube, so you can see everything that we've worked from like the very beginning when I was performing at a talent show in Jackson Middle School to now
Nice.
where we have videos, we have performances of like many different things that we're working on and genres that we're working on. So
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. But thank you for coming on today.
Thank you
It was
for
such a
having me.
pleasure meeting you.
thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.